Hey, how you fine folks doing? We're out here in southern New Hampshire. Nowhere particularly special. Just keeping local. I've been doing so much. Been busting out so many long distance trips. I figured I'd take things easy this weekend. Plus, 4th of July weekend, got some stuff going on, and just generally a little tired after the last two big long trips I did up there to Vermont, and then to I just got back a few days ago, in fact, up like way far north, like above the 45th parallel, northwest Maine. Did a hike out, did a little video up there in the Mahoosucs, and then came down and did one in like north, like the basically the wastelands of northeastern New Hampshire, where there's really not much up there. Northwestern New Hampshire's a different story. Whatever. Get the idea. We're right around the corner from, essentially right around the corner from my neck of the woods now. Looking for this plant specifically, this rather unremarkable looking thing here. This is actually a species of Asclepias. This is a milkweed. All right. This is Asclepias exaltata, the poke milkweed. And I mean, it's not a poke weed, even though it's got those leaves, like phytolacca looking leaves, even though they do strongly resemble it. That would trip me up if I wasn't, looking for it. But the alternate margins are the giveaway, and also being a milkweed. Go ahead and nick the base of this leaf here. Not tear it off, just nick it. You can see that milky latex sap, riddled with cardiac glycosides, spewing off the thing. So this is Asclepias exaltata, all right? Haven't seen it in flower yet. I've seen a few patches of them, none of them in flower, and it should be flowering now, like late June through like the first week of July. But I mean, the milkweeds in general seem to be, maybe the winter did something, but milkweeds in general seem to not be having that strong of a season. But this is another one of those cool milkweeds, because we're so used to, Asclepias syriaca and Asclepias incarnata. And if, you've got it in cultivation, it's native here, but it's rare. Asclepias tuberosa, native populations of that are exceedingly uncommon in New England. But there's quite a few other ones that are not quite as common. Quadrifolia, I think I got, got a good video of earlier this year up on like the Mafic Rock down in Connecticut. That one likes those habitats, those like upland, central, hilly New England type habitats. Starts getting rare in Vermont and in northern New England, but a nice mainstay species in like the Metacomet areas and points south in the Appalachians. This one here, again, not one of those ones that's like particularly rare or anything, just one that, I mean, look at the thing, so easy to walk by and miss, especially even with the flowers out. The thing's not that it's got green flowers. It doesn't really jump out at you, but we're gonna walk around, we're gonna hopefully find this in flower. I could do a little diatribe on milkweed anatomy. But exaltata, one of the ones you might not have known about. Great, all milkweeds, all species of Asclepias native to New England are excellent plants to have around. This one likes the woodland habitat. Syriaca, the really common one you see growing roadside, likes it open and exposed, yada, yada, yada. But this will still attract the monarchs all the same. So maybe we can find one in, like none of these even had flower buds out. So I know I'm not just too early. They're just not flowering. I've got milkweed in my yard, a whole bunch of it. They had flowered last year, but not this year. They're short-lived perennials, but geez, I mean, usually you can get 3, 4, 5 years out of the things, and they will flower more and more prolifically than die off. I don't know. I have a whole bunch of patches that are only, some of them were 2 years old, some of them are 3 or 4 years old. None of them flowered, and most of them did last year. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. In the wild, big patches of milkweed I've seen historically are not looking that hot. Maybe the winter was pretty brutal. Maybe that set them back a bit. But, you get some other cool stuff here. Again, nothing exceedingly rare, but still interesting to look at. You get this nice species of, it's formerly Desmodium, now Hylodesmum. Hylodesmum glutinosum, a legume. You can see those stamens there, and the stamens on the reproductive structures on peas are similarly interesting to, not similar, but are also interesting like those on milkweeds. So what you have there is a bundle of 9 stamens that are fused to the base, and then 1 stamen is free. And then up at the tip there, you could probably just barely make it out. There's the pistil there. I believe that they always do superior ovaries. So it'll be, the fruit will be forming basically what it'll look like inside the flower. Are any of these already drooping off? No, but you can see you can see the persistent styles there when they do fall off. Beautiful, beautiful plant. Has the leaves of 3. Hylodesmum, glutinosum. A little fuzzy on the leaves. A little fuzzy on the backside there. Leaves of 3. Always bullshit. Don't believe it. But another nice woodland, like a nice woodland pea. One that you want to have around. It's just a beautiful, nice, beautiful plant to walk by in the woods. Not rare, but not one that really gets farther up north. And then, of course, you have another Fabid here. Also suspiciously resembling poison ivy, but it's not. Get the American hog peanut. One that I continuously forget the scientific name for. But whatever, it's got a weird scientific name. Another one, that one's that's a pretty common woodland plant. Forest overstory here, interestingly enough, you get a bunch of Tilia americana, basswood, which I'm used to seeing up north and out west, but seems to be doing well in this habitat here. And then you've also got a whole myriad. I took note of a couple of these, not going to bother keying them out. Oh, well, this here. This is a nice Viburnum. You got a nice maple leaf Viburnum, Viburnaceae acerifolium. Come on. Work with me here, buddy. I'm off the camera. I decided to kind of retire the camera for a little bit. Why won't it focus just on the... It's right there. There you go. Those are the fruits. Already past mature. Little white flowers on the thing a few weeks ago. And then what I was going to talk about is this nice spiny fellow here. Don't even try to ask me what species, but it is a Crataegus, one of the innumerable hawthorns found across the Northeast. 130 some odd species of those things, all of them hybridizing. No one agrees on the taxonomy for them, and lots of cryptic microendemics. So anyway, putts around here for a little bit. Probably going to be a short one, but then I always say that. Usually when I do say that, though, we end up finding lots of interesting stuff. So main goal is to find this guy here, Asclepias exaltata, in bloom. And we'll see if we get some other cool treats like Hylodesmum, glutinosum. So stay tuned. Okay, well, here's another one, but it's not in bloom. This one at least has 1, 2 little flower buds on the thing. I wonder what the deal is with these. Nice, big, beautiful. I mean, this one's not that much bigger than like Asclepias syriaca, but only 2 flower buds really on the whole thing. Seems a little unusual. They're here. They're not necessarily infrequent, but not necessarily abundant. But this one has some buds on it, so maybe, I mean, that would maybe be. So that tells me at least we're gonna know if it's in bud, and we could come back and we could check it out. But kind of a bummer so far. We'll keep trudging on. Maybe we'll see some other cool shit. But yeah, there you go. It's kind of where you would expect the flowers to come out, although usually they're more like globular, like Asclepias syriaca. I've seen pictures of these in flower. I know vaguely what it should look like, and they have more flowers generally. So let's see what else. Let's see what else we can. Okay, here you go. So I don't really know what to say. Got a really cool bug hanging out on this guy right now. Some of these are in bud. Others of them are past. Nothing is open, though. It's so weird. So, look, some of these have already... God damn it, can't see. Some of these have already gone to fruit. And then others of them haven't even opened yet. But this is what I meant by a more globose inflorescence. So, I don't know what the phenology is here. Maybe they open only in the morning and then they fall off, but... Those are the fruits. Those will mature into those nice milkweed silique pods. Smooth, unlike syriaca, which is bumpy. And, they'll be persistent through to the fall. But what a weird plant. What a weird flowering habit to it. Not really sure what to make of that. But they're here, actually, relatively abundant. I'm guessing that this is just one of those species that people just kind of breeze by without giving it a second thought. But as any Asclepias, I'm interested. You know what I mean? Fascinating genus of plants. So Asclepias exaltata, or exaltata, whatever you want to say. These are the inflorescences, and sorry I couldn't get you like an actual open flower on the thing, because they are, you know. Oh, or maybe, wait a second here. I think I know what's going on. Maybe these don't reflex and they're like a cryptic flower of some sort. Yeah, hang on a second. Maybe these just don't open. Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe they just don't open all the way. Anyway, what you see there. So these are the sepals here. So milkweeds are going to have 5 sepals. Get some modified petal action there. Maybe these don't reflex when they open. Oh, that's so weird. Okay, so there you go. That's a modified petal. You got like a horn in the sheath. And what's going on is, see right there, see that slit? That's where you go in to get your, if I'm not mistaken, your pollen, or that's where you deposit the pollen. That center column there is the top of the stigma or style, something like that. I'll have to refresh. I'll put the little arrows, but you get your sepals, you get your horn, you've got whatever the other petal surrounding it is. One's a modified petal, one's a modified staminode. These do pollinia, just like orchids. And then that little slit there in the center, that's where insects, you know, something large enough is going to get in there and is going to deposit a little bit of pollen there on the inside of the flower where it's going to mature. Okay, I think okay, so these are done then. Oh, I get it. Okay. So perhaps that's already been pollinated. So perhaps I'm just a little late, maybe a few days, maybe a week, and these things close back up or something. Who knows? I honestly didn't do enough research about this particular species, but you don't see that with any of the other milkweeds I'm familiar with. So I'll take some good pictures of the inside of the flower there, even if I kind of have to dissect. Again, these are not rare, just something that people don't seem to really come across super often. But we'll walk around here a little bit longer. We'll see what else there is to see. That is a fascinating plant. You've also got next to it a nice Actaea rubra, red baneberry. You know it's a red baneberry, not because the berries are red. Both red and white baneberry can have red berries, or at least pink berries. The little peduncle there that connects the berry to the stalk, the inflorescence, is thin and skinny. They get short and inflated on Actaea pachypodia. And then back here, more of that beautiful Hylodesmum, glutinosum. Even more of this poke milkweed, Asclepias exaltata. Is there one other thing back here that I saw that was interesting? Maybe not. That's okay. We'll walk around a little bit longer. I like it in here, you know? It's kind of nice. And it's been a minute since I've really had a chance to appreciate this Hylodesmum. Doesn't really get up north, but we're at kind of like the northern extent of its range, I'm led to believe. Anyway, we'll give this a little bit longer. We'll see what else we can find. Oh, here you go. Here's another cute little surprise. I just did a whole bunch of content about these last few episodes. Some of the rarer northern ones. This one's not rare. This one's actually quite common. You can see most of these have wrapped up. The stigmas are especially persistent. This is a little leaf hopper. Hey, buddy. These are the stigmas are especially persistent on the fruits. But here's one just barely hanging on. It's Pyrola elliptica. All right. So this has the elliptic leaves that aren't generally have venation on them. Pyrola americana will have round leaves. They get a little bit of venation to them. So this is elliptica. I think this is a circumboreal species too. But unlike the ones that we were kind of talking about, Chlorantha and the close relatives Monotropa and Tilia that grow up north in like boreal swamps and stuff, this one's a nice, woodland plant down here in southern New England too. So this is actually technically the one that most closely resembles Pyrola minor. However, you'll notice that stigma's long. On Pyrola minor, it's short and squat, and these flowers are vaguely zygomorphic, only symmetrical from one end. Pyrola was a completely symmetrical. So same thing, same lineage, Monotropoideae, probably a hemiparasite. obviously in the family Ericaceae, yada yada yada. Whole bunch of diversity in that subfamily here in New England, and you know, I just saw a Monotropa uniflora starting to poke out for this season. So if I run into that again, I'll highlight that. But I've documented just about every species that occurs in New England, except for Pterospora andromeda, which was only recently, only recently discovered here in Massachusetts. Or I shouldn't say here in Massachusetts, I'm not in Massachusetts right now. It was only recently discovered in Massachusetts, and you know, is much more common out. It's very common out west, more common than Monotropa uniflora is. And then there's a Great Lakes disjunct population. So far western New England. It's been found in Vermont and now recently in Massachusetts. You get that. And then Pyrola acerifolium, which I was supposed to see this past trip out to Vermont and not Vermont, out to Maine and New Hampshire, but I ran out of time. And it kind of slipped my mind. So I got 2 more of these species I'm going to have to document at some point. But we got a nice little patch of Hylodesmum. That's nice. The flowers remind me like of hostas almost. You could have that in your shade garden. Why don't you plant some Hylodesmum? For the love of God, get something interesting in there. Yeah, Pyrola elliptica. So 2 of them are really common. Pyrola americana and Pyrola elliptica are the 2 common ones. And then you've got Pyrola minor, Pyrola, well, to a lesser extent, Pyrola chlorantha, which isn't quite as rare. And then the rare ones you get are Pyrola minor, Pyrola and acerifolium. I think I've got those. I think there's 5, if not in a missing one. Americana elliptica, 2 common ones. Chlorantha, the green flowered one. Acerifolium, pink flowered, and then minor is the small one. Okay, whatever. Bog, pyrola, or whatever they call it. Anyway, that's enough of that. See what else you've got going on. Okay, similar to that milkweed, here's a common enough plant that I've just never really had the chance to talk about. Agramonia cryptosepala. And agrimony, these are in the rose family. I think that these, some people call these cockleberries. I'm not sure, but they're cute little native roses, grow yellow on that stalk there. Kind of almost have a cinquefoil like foliage. Get a few species native to New England. I think some are introduced to, but this one's a common, almost weedy native. You see, look at those emerging fruits, or not emerging fruits. Those are going to be the emerging flowers, and the fruits on these have these like little hooked burrs, which you can actually see on the back of the calyx there. So this one's got the hairy stem, so that's how we know this one's cryptosepala. Striata is another really common one. Looks similar, but I don't think it gets as big, and it's got no hairs on the stem. Maybe I'll go hunting for some of these. I think some of like the northern ones are rare up here. I think they've got some of these up in the Arctic. I'll do more research. I admittedly know almost nothing about this, know nothing about this genus. Don't think I've ever even mentioned it. I think I have 1 INAT observation of them. I just, you know, they don't tend to catch my eye, but I'm getting to a point now where pretty much everything, you know, things you get to a point with botany, as I'm sure you do with bird calls or insects or whatever your stupid obsessive niche is, because for me it's plants. You get almost like a glowing vision for things that you've never seen before, if you get what I'm saying. So this kind of stuck out to me. I saw like the little yellow spike of flowers there, and I'm like, oh, what the hell's that? And yeah, an agrimonia, agrimony, not argemony, that's a different thing. Agrimonia, a cocklebur, or you know, just a cute little rose. I'm not sure if these are in the Tilia tribe. I'll be happy to look that up and put any additional information in the subtitles as I do. Let's carry on. Lots, nothing super terribly rare, but that's okay. Lots of fascinating plants. Doesn't have to be rare to be interesting. Some things just have a nice little, you know, a nice little walk. Not everybody's going to be doing 4-hour drives and 5-hour bushwhacks into the woods to find single populations of, you know, rare plants. Sometimes you can just walk into a nice little conservation easement like this and just appreciate some not too uncommon native plants. They're still plenty interesting. It's like, why am I trying to justify this? I don't know. I feel like I need to constantly be showing off good stuff. And then I realized some of my most popular episodes, actually my most popular one is about pitcher plants, but some of the most popular episodes, there's nothing really rare in them. Just talking about like, okay, here's a cool little forest subtype I found. Let's talk about what's growing in here, which is kind of what we're doing today. No plan, just one plant growing nearby me. I wanted to come see. And look, we're treated to Hylodesmum, cool rose. There's a nice little wetland back there. But if I had a little bit more time of the day, I'd probably go take my kayak out in there, check that out, see if there's anything cool growing down there. I don't know why I'm feeling so insecure. No one's here except for me, so clearly it's in my own head. But there you go. That's a cool one. If you never heard of it, now you have. Oh yeah, see this one always gets everybody hot and bothered, just like pink lady slippers. This is sorry for jostling the camera. There's this presumption that Monotropa uniflora is some sort of rare plant in certain pockets of its range. It certainly is, but not in New England. Yes, these are flowers, achlorophyllous, non-chlorophyll producing flowers in the same subfamily as that pyrola back there. Different tribe though. These are Monotropae. Pyrola is Pyroliae, but same subfamily. And unlike those ones, which can do some photosynthesis on their own, this guy is completely stealing from fungi, a microheterotroph. If you've never heard that term, now you have. Lots of fascinating plants do this, especially in that Monotropoideae subfamily. Lots of orchids do that too. I've talked about Corallarhiza trifida already a couple times this year. That's another one of them. No chlorophyll. They do not photosynthesize. Only the inflorescence emerges from the ground. It's kind of cool how these are coming out of like a decomposing log too. That's fascinating. They do not need any leaves. They do not need any chlorophyll. They're just going to tap into some fungal hyphae, I would presume, and steal nutrients. Fungus, usually Rusula, typically, symbiotic with oak trees, like we've got up above there. So somewhere in the ground here, presumably, there's some Rusula mushrooms. Obviously not, putting out their stalk and cap yet. Got to remember, mushrooms are massive organisms, and the stalk and cap that poke out from the ground are merely the, quote, fruiting body. That's the reproductive structure. The actual organism is, thousands, if not millions, of tiny threads running underneath the soil here, eating, consuming, breaking things down. In this case, symbiotic with oak trees. I think what happens is they can, synthesize certain chemicals that the oak trees want. The oak trees are able to give them some sugar because they've got their leaves up in the canopy, and everybody, gets along well and dandy. This guy comes along seemingly to no detriment to the mushroom or to the tree, and starts hijacking the process. Lots of orchids do that. Lots of monotropes do that. You've got other families that don't occur in New England, but elsewhere globally that do that. And it's important. This is recap, if you watch the channel, but I'm starting to realize I might be losing some people by not just covering the basics every once in a while. I've recently taken a hint from somebody else who does these types of videos, and it's like, every 5 to 10 episodes, you want to take a minute and you just really want to make sure you're reintroducing some core concepts, because I'm hot out the gate sometimes. If you have a strong opinion about this, leave a comment. I know people have said in the past they want me to do a basics video. I'm so pressed for time trying to get the stuff I want to see. Just not even sometimes for videos, just stuff that I want to see. You're running around. I can barely edit a video at a time this year. Maybe this winter I'll just start branching off and I'll do a whole series of basics videos. I was going to do it at the beginning of the season just with an explanation on ephemerals, and that went off the rails. So leave a comment below. If you're here for the really cool rare shit, leave a comment. And if you're kind of like, I have no idea what the hell is happening, leave a comment. You should really explain some basics. And if you'd like to see both, just leave a comment anyway. I appreciate it. But yeah, those are what the dried out stalks from last year look like. They're very persistent. So hopefully, if you didn't understand what mycoheterotroph, so myco, mushrooms, heterotroph, eating another, they feed off of mushrooms. And, if you want to know how that evolved, I mean, I can't get into the specifics, but most plants, with the few notable exceptions, are generally having some form of symbiosis with mushrooms. At one point, the plants of this lineage figured out that they could basically turn the entire thing into a one-sided relationship, and that's been proven beneficial enough for them to continue on and for that trait to have evolved multiple times in multiple plant families. So there's your basic explanation of a key concept of botany there. And yeah, I'm enjoying this one. It's like no pressure. I don't feel like I have to see anything. Everything I find that I'm like, ooh, so far nothing really new to me except for Asclepias exaltata. But everything you see, it's like a fun, like, oh, I know that guy. I know that guy. Oh, I know that guy. It's like coming across old friends, you know. In any case, let's I'll give a putt around to the end. This trail goes down to this wetland over here. See if anything interesting is down there, and then we'll probably skedaddle out of here. Oh, here we go. Speaking of Monotropes, here's another one. Common as chips, but I don't think I've ever gotten good pics of this blooming. This is so this is another Pyroli one. This is Chimaphila umbellata. So Chimaphila maculata I talk about a lot. This one's technically much more common, but just never really catches my interest. The flowers look a lot like Chimaphila maculata, but they're smaller and they have more of a pink tinge to them. So those anthers there, that's what the pollen comes out, right? So the lumpy thing, the green thing, that's a stigma. And then the fruit is right behind it. That's gonna, that's the ovary. That's what's gonna mature into the fruit. Where the pollen comes out of are those little tube-looking things. And unlike most plants, Chimaphila, and actually a lot of the plants in the family Ericaceae, the blueberry family Ericaceae, you can see some of the fruits are already starting to mature here. They have what are called poricidal anthers. So imagine a salt and pepper shaker. So you have to really work, if you're an insect, to shake those things and get the pollen out. Versus, your typical, like think of like a lily, that pollen's just dumping everywhere. That's called longitudinal dehiscence in that case. Nice leathery rosette of leaves, evergreen. You can come see these in the winter. The fruits are super persistent, as many of the monotropes I've come to find are. Woody and persistent over the winter. And look, here's some baby ones. Got some recruitment. This, I think, is a pretty much, omnipresent species around the northern hemisphere. Any sort of nice oak pine woodlands such as we find ourselves in now, of various species, not just, the species we get here. You get a chance to run into Chimaphila umbellata. It's a cool plant. Trust me, real cool plant. Yes, screw it. You're just getting a tour of some of the really common monotropes of New England. I think I've seen all but 2 species literally in the last week. Now is the time of year for them. So this is a different species of Chimaphila. See how this one's got bigger leaves with the with that venation to them, that little stripe down the center, and a slightly larger, almost entirely white flower. Also apparently slightly different phenology. No pink on it. This is Chimaphila maculata. So same genus. You can see, okay, he's giving off a little bit of pollen. So same genus, hence the very similar visual thing, visual appearance, but a different species. So, at one point they evolved from a common ancestor, as did, the Monotropa uniflora, the ghost pipe, as did those pyrola, all shared at some point common ancestor. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Those are the fruits from last year. They're just so awfully persistent. You know what I mean? Not fleshy blueberry-like fruits, although a lot of Ericaceae, not just monotropes, do those woody capsule fruits. It's fascinating. Okay, probably get coaster up in this stuff. It's probably going to be, recap for some of you. But if this is new to you, I hope that you're learning something. And if you're not, hey, maybe this isn't the episode for you. I can't expect everybody to go back and watch, episodes that came out 3 years ago, because a lot of times they're just not that good. I'm a little bit more succinct now, and certainly more well-informed about what it is that I'm talking about. So there you go. 2 cool Chimaphila. Those are the only 2 Chimaphila species we get. This one, it might be restricted to North America. It gets rare in some, it is rare in some states, common in others. That's a common enough theme you'll find when a plant is widespread enough, it gets rare at the fringes of its ranges, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's rare everywhere or that it's, you know, globally threatened. I really have to clarify that for some people, especially about like pink lady slipper. It's not rare globally. It's at the fringes of its range, and on bedrock it doesn't like it gets rare. But you know, any acidic, you know, forest or, you know, dry, semi-dry area, you're going to start to see them. Okay, that's enough of that. But we'll carry on here. We'll probably get close to wrapping this up. Well, yeah, you come down to the water here, you start getting a whole different cast of characters. You remember how I mentioned, oh, you've got other species of milkweed, you know, in New England. Well, here's one of the really common ones, for lack of a better term. This is Asclepias incarnata. This is the swamp milkweed. Blooms the latest of all of them, I think. So he's not even ready to go yet, but you can see, is that what I think it is on there? Could that be a little, I think that's a little monarch egg. I'll have to, or is that part of the plant? No, that's an egg of some sort. I'll have to re-Google what those look like to see if that's indeed what I think it could be. Asclepias incarnata is one of the really productive species you can plant. Beautiful, beautiful when it blooms. Over here, you've also got your, where'd it go? Also get plenty of this guy here. That yellow flower thing, that's Lysimachia terrestris. The swamp candles, as they're sometimes called. Nice little sphagnum area here. You get your rushes, juncus. Don't even try to ask me what species this is, but Juncaceae, the rush family, a graminoid, but not you know, not a sedge and not a grass. A secret third thing. Some of them are really cool, but I'm more into the sedges than I am into the rushes. Sorry, I wish I could get a better shot of the Lysimachia. Okay, here's one. Let's go this by. So cool little spot here. Trying to keep my water bottle between my legs. Yeah, there you go. That's what the flowers look like. Already on their way out, unfortunately. But these don't really produce nectar. These produce an oil that gets collected by, they're called Euglossian bees, oil collecting bees. So, you know, bumblebees don't fucking give a shit about these plants. Or not bumblebees, well, probably not. But what I was actually going to say was I was going to talk shit about the about honeybees. Honeybees don't give a shit about these. Cool little wetland swamp plant there. None of these are big, but I am seeing them as you get it. This is it's a tiny little, I'm growing a whole bunch of this. That's why I know what this looks like. Get a whole bunch of this of buttonbush, Cephalanthus occidentalis here. Oh, there's one of these Japanese invasive fuckers, Japanese beetle in my hair. These cling on to everything. They're stupid as shit too. What else we get here that's interesting? I forget what this is here. Oh, a triodium. This is a St. John's wort. Triodenum virginianum, the marsh St. John's wort. Not going to be blooming yet. Probably needs another 2 to 3 weeks for that guy. Here's a slightly bigger, oh god, I'm going to sink right into this shit, aren't I? Slightly bigger button bush, Cephalanthus occidentalis. You get a whole bunch of this guy here too, just starting to emerge. Everybody knows what a cattail is, right? Well, this isn't a cattail, but this is the only other genus in that family, Typhaceae, also a graminoid. This is a sparganium. This is a burreed, or burweed, whatever the heck they call it. These are fascinating. Another one of those ones that, you know, yeah, see, these are the fruits here, already done. And this is the emerging inflorescence. So those are the flowers down there. It's a graminoid, so it's related to grasses, just like sedges, rushes, you know, whatever else you get there. Another, you know, one that you get more diversity up at northern latitudes than you do at southern latitudes, which is unusual. So lots of cool stuff in the wetlands are productive. You come into any wetland, you're going to find at least one or two things that are at least somewhat interesting. We'll putz around here. I like to say that for a bit, and I'll cut it off. I'm going to go from here probably to the edge of this, and we'll cut it off there. We'll see if we can find any cool, maybe the carnivore maybe an orchid, maybe something particularly interesting. But that sparganium, those are always cool to find. In any case, maybe signing off in a minute or two here. Hey, just backtracking a bit. Finished the video off, but then I'll put this right after I first see it. There you go. This is the inflorescence of Asclepias incarnata. Oh, there's a guy in there. So these are what milkweed flowers look like when they're wide open at peak bloom. This thing smells so fucking good, you couldn't possibly imagine. So those reflex things, those are the sepals. Those are what cover the flower structures. Milkweeds have heavily modified petals there. There's that same slit down the center there. That's what you got to get your foot into to actually pollinate the thing. And if I didn't say it before, these are using pollinia, sticky masses of like coagulated pollen, similar to what orchids do. But there you go. There's an actual open Asclepias incarnata. Back to the video already in session here. Well, maybe I manifested it into existence, or maybe this is a monkey paw situation, and that's the this is the invasive one. But you get a utricularia there, and they have to. You can pull them out of the water because their leaves are floating underneath the surface there, and I need to see a better shot of the flowers and the leaves to figure out what species it is. But hopefully, one of the native ones. Let's find out right now. Let's see if we can get a hold of this guy. Oh, hang on a second. Where'd he go? I just saw one right underneath me. There's one right here. Let's see if we can figure out. That one's not in flower though. Let's give me 2 seconds here. Let me see if I can figure out what we're working with here. Yeah, okay, that's fine. This is actually the common species that I don't think I've ever documented. This one's all over North America, and then even Eastern Asia. Utricularia macrorhiza, the common bladderwort. Okay, carnivorous plant. All right, likes the this like nutrient deficient, borderline fetid water. Grows submerged, grows aquatically. Although some of them they put their leaves like some of the ones down I've seen on the Cape shores do some real weird stuff with their leaves. And actually, these are the leaves right there. So macrorhiza, large leaved. So this thing just sprawls out. And in fact, if you probably can't make it out, but even over there, I see some of the leaves under the surface. So we'll probably wrap it up there. Utricularia, macrorhiza, common bladderwort, may be growing near you. What it does is along those leaves, I can't see any in particular from right here, but along those leaves are going to be little cysts. And what those cysts do is they pop open, they pop close, and all the little Daphnia, amoebozoans, little Paramecia, whatever the hell they call them. What we used to call protozoa, which is now, you know, a completely useless term because it's polyphyletic. It's innumerable lineages all fall into that category. I digress. Yeah. So I was right. You're always going to get probably going to get a nice little carnivore somewhere in a habitat like this. Is another little spike of flowers there. White water lilies. Why am I actually? Wait, this isn't. Oh, maybe they are. They're just not that open. Why am I blanking right now? Nymphaea odorata. They smell delightful. And there's the rest of this habitat. I think we're going to cut it off there. I hope you folks got literally anything out of this. Did not have big plans this time around. Was merely coming out and said, hey, screw it. Let's go see this milkweed. And if we find 1 or 2 other interesting things, that'll be cool. And indeed, I forget sometimes, even the common stuff that grows around us is intensely fascinating. So take it easy, folks. Nice little stroll through a southern New Hampshire, a swampy woodland here. Well, no shit. Look at almost growing. I've never seen him growing like this. Look at almost in the woods. Come up this little sandy patch from the creek there, and look what we got. You get some Drosera. You have some sundew growing like almost in the woods. Just Drosera tendifolia. Look, and they're happy. They're getting ready to flower too. All right, tendifolia and intermedia are actually quite common species anywhere the soil is absolute dog shit and there's at least enough moisture that they won't dry out. you can find these things, okay? Drosera rotundifolia and Drosera intermedia. The leaves look different on both of them, you know, and if you're new to Drosera, these are sticky little leaves that trap insects, okay? They're making up for the lack of nutrients in the soil. They're not eating bugs. There's a whole bunch of them down here growing out of the moss. They're not eating bugs. They're merely capturing nutrients, like phosphorus, nitrogen, things like that. I guess they're gonna bloom. They're doing well. Maybe the water, you know, comes up this high sometimes, but that is hilarious that they're just growing here. I've never seen them like in a shaded, you know, almost like woodland habitat like that. There's a whole bunch of them. They do well where they like it. They're really successful worldwide genera of plants, by the way. Very, very successful genus of plants. Get them northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, all sorts of wonky habitats. You get 5 in New England, but only 2 are particularly common. One's easy enough to see down in the Cape. It's Drosera filiformis. The other 2, intermedia and rotundifolia. I mean, I've seen them under ski slopes, pond shores, bogs, fens. They get around. Rotundifolia is going to have hairy petioles. That's the little stem that connects the base of the plant to the leaf there. Intermedia, they'll be hairless. And the leaves of intermedia are like spoon-shaped. Those flowers will be popping open any day. In any case, that's really all I got. But that's a really funny little find to have here at the end of this video. Why don't you take it easy? Go out and why don't you go poke around your local woods? You literally never know what you're gonna find. Okay, do me a favor. Go for a walk today, and you know, you might find something interesting. Yeah. Speaking of looks like a rush, but isn't a bulrush. Been getting into these. Can't tell you the species. I've just been taking pictures of them and having my friend help me key them out. This is a sedge. Well, not in the genus Carex, but in that family Cyperaceae. This is a species of Scirpus, a bulrush, if you would. In any case, I think that's really it. Gonna end up being a longer video than expected. Take it easy, folks.